Morning everyone, it's Audrey, Stitchywitch42. Today is Tuesday, the Tuesday before Thanksgiving, so does that mean it's November 23rd? I think yesterday was the 22nd. I don't know what the date is. Does it matter? Is it the day you're going to watch me? No, I don't know. It doesn't matter. Anyway, morning everyone, my name is Audrey, Stitchywitch42. This is my channel about cross-stitch, life, the universe, and everything, and I have 3 fully finished items to share with you, 1 finished item to share with you, a bunch of floss cards, and I want to start off by announcing the winner from my giveaway from the last video. I've already notified her. Deborah Watkins was the name that came up on the random comment generator. She said we're all a little crazy here. I know I am. But anyway, I commented on her comment, and Deborah, I got them mailed out yesterday because I have your address. A couple years ago, I started an Excel folder when people would send me mail, putting their names and addresses in there because I know that other floss tubers have done similar things. And it makes it so much easier when you're doing a giveaway to possibly have the person's address on file so that you don't always have to wait for somebody to get back to you with a comment. And I've had it go 3 or 4 videos before somebody will get back to me, which can really get kind of frustrating. So if you've sent me mail, if you've sent me gifts, if you've sent me floss cards, if you've, if I have your address, chances are really good it's in my Excel folder, and that made it so much easier for me to get it ready and get it sent out to Deborah yesterday. So congratulations, Deborah. I hope you stitch all of them. And thank you once again, Marcia, for sending those to me so that I could use them as a giveaway. All right. Finishes. The first 2 pieces that I want to show you are actually, they were stitched by my granddaughters. 2 years ago, in the Facebook group, the Stitchers Coven, I took part in a Halloween exchange. I know, me, Halloween, right? Anyway, I took part in a Halloween exchange, and I had found this cute little pattern called Witch's Brew, and it was a teacup with bubbles coming out of it, a tea bag hanging over it, and then underneath it said Witch's Brew. I asked my granddaughters if they would each stitch one for me, and I adapted one of them slightly. And both of my granddaughters, Rowan and Riley, said yes they would. So I set them up with project bags, I set them up with floss, I set them up with 14 count dirty Ada and their own patterns. Now the adaptation that I made, it's called Witch's Brew. It had a tea bag with the bubbles coming over. For Rowan's, I took the tea bag out of the pattern. I added 3 rows to the cup to make it more like a coffee cup. I left hers saying Witch's Brew. Riley's I changed to Witch's Tea. So when they would come over to my house, they would do a little bit of stitching on them. But I could tell they weren't really into it. So I suggested to them that they take them home with them because it's not a big pattern, in the hopes that they would maybe finish them on their own time at their own home. And every once in a while I would ask them. After about a year of hearing, no, Grandma, it's not done yet, I said, well, okay, how about if you just bring it back to me and I'll have them here. I don't want them to get lost. So they did. And then I would ask them when they were over, do you want to stitch on these? And it was, no, Grandma, we don't. So finally I asked them, can I finish them? Because I would really like to have them done. And resounding yes. Obviously, cross stitch is not their thing right now. So I got the stitching completed on both of these pieces, and I am going to share how I finished them with you. My whole idea, which is brew and which is tea, I wanted to have canisters in my kitchen with these stitched pieces on them. And I actually got the idea for how to finish it from my friend Sharon when we were doing a Zoom stitch. So this is Riley's piece. This is what the original pattern looked like. The teacup with the bubbles coming out over it and bubbles up above it. The word on the original pattern was Witch's Brew. Riley had most of this stitched. In fact, the only thing she didn't have stitched was the tea bag and the words. So I wanted to make sure that my stitching was different than hers. And so what I did on the tea bag, I think that's an eyelet stitch, tell me if I'm wrong, and I stitched in the words. When I went to finish them this year, I put Riley's name here and 2019 because that's when she started it. And on this side it says Grandmama and 2021 for when I finished it for them. All I did with this is I put a piece of interfacing on the back of it, trimmed it down to the size I wanted, ruffled the edges, and then I used double-sided acid-free tape, the same stuff I use when I do any finishing. Put that on the canister and press this in place. And now that I've shown you, I can put this in my kitchen and put my tea bags in here. Rowan had less completed than Riley did. Rowan had some issues that Riley didn't. When I started Rowan on stitching this, I started her using 2/1 on 14 count Aida. Somehow or another she switched to 4/1. She did not get as much completed as Riley did. She got the flames down here and she got this half of the coffee cup. So to make my stitching look different from hers, what I decided to do is what she had not stitched, all I did was outline. And I did a 4-sided stitch for the bubbles up here. Again, I put in the words. I put in Rowan 2019, Grandmama 2021. This is for my coffee. And both my canisters are now finished. I like that on both of them, I can tell the difference between what they stitched and what I stitched. And I absolutely love these. Will I stop asking them to stitch for me? Probably not. But I now know that it may take years to get something finished. All right, my second fully finished item is the wool mat that I was working on. The pattern is from the Primitive Gathering. It is called Pumpkin Table Mat. And I got this finished last Tuesday. I had asked for some help on a previous video on how to do the vine work on it. Karen, the Needlebug, suggested to me to use the white graphite paper. I tried using that and I was having problems just tearing through the paper and wasn't getting any of the white graphite onto the wool. So I need to work on doing that because I really like that idea. So I decided to freestyle it. I sat down with my table mat. I had the pattern there, and then I kind of freestyled my vines, trying to make them the same from one pumpkin to the next, to the next, to the next, to the next. I got all of that done. Now is the time that I need to put on the back fabric on the table mat. So I contacted Anna, stitchroadies, quilt roadies, because she's been my mentor through all of this. And she goes, I'm really glad that you contacted me about that today. This was last Tuesday. because she was getting ready to do the same thing with one of her projects. And she goes, "It's too bad it's such crappy weather, you could come up." Anna lives about an hour's drive away from me. I drive everywhere all the time. I've driven in every kind of weather. Driving over to see a friend that takes an hour to drive through rainy weather, big deal. I got in my car and I drove over there. So anyway, she showed me, explained to me how to put the back on, and I came home and I finished it, and I was so excited to get it finished. And I brought it into my living room when I was done. This is the almost disaster, and I have to tell you about the almost disaster before I show you the finished piece, because, well, you'll understand. I was so excited to have this done. I brought it in and I laid it across the back of my couch, and it looked really pretty hanging there. We had just gotten our couch back 2 days prior to that. I had sent it out to be reupholstered earlier this summer, and it, instead of it taking 7 weeks, it took 4 months. Last Sunday I finally got my couch back. So I took this piece and I laid it across the back, and it looked really pretty there, and I thought, well, that looks nice, but I'm going to put it on my coffee table. Note to self: husbands. Mark and I are rednecks. We eat in the living room and watch television. For years and years and years, we ate our dinners sitting side by side on the floor at the coffee table, using that as our dining room table. And now that the couch was back, Mark was using it again. I can get down onto the floor. It's the getting up that's really hard. We had dinner Tuesday night. My mat was sitting on the coffee table. Mark brings his dinner plate in and sets it down on the table, picks up my mat and brings it over and sets it right over here on the sideboard. I looked over at the table to see why he did that, and what I saw across the table was drip, 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 drip. And I swiveled my head around and I looked at my mat, which was laying right here, and across 2 of the pumpkins is drip, 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 drip. Oh my gosh. I got up, I grabbed it, I went running into the kitchen, had it on the counter. I'm looking at it, thinking, how do I fix this? How do I fix this? How do I fix this? I don't know what to do. And then the brain kicked in. This is wool. Wool will let things beat up on it. So if I very gently mop it up with a paper towel, that should help. So I did that. I put the paper towel and I let it grab the liquid and pull it up, and I worked on that. And Mark is apologizing like crazy. And he didn't do it on purpose. It was an accident, right? Anyway, I did as much as I could, got as much of it off as I could, and I left it sitting there, and we went back and we finished dinner. When I went back into the kitchen, I could still see where the drip marks were at. So the next thing I decided was baking soda. I went and got a new box of baking soda out of the pantry. I took a spoon and I sprinkled baking soda across all the drip marks. And then we went back and we watched television for a couple of hours to let the baking soda have its time. And when I got back into the kitchen, I pulled up the table mat, I dusted off all the baking soda, I took a soft nylon brush and I very gently scrub at it, and I am so happy to say that you cannot tell where the drips were at. And this is my finished, fully finished pumpkin table mat. I think this is just beautiful. It is my first wool project. I had so much fun working on it, and I know that I will do more of them, because when I was at Anna's house and I was packing things up to come back home that day, I noticed that she'd stuck another kit in my bag. It's another table mat. It has snowmen on it. It's upstairs. I forgot to bring it downstairs. But this is my pumpkin table mat. I'm quite pleased with how I did the swirls of the vines from each one to each one. This is the fabric that I used on the back of it. And I am really, really tickled to have this out for the holiday season. It sits on the back of my couch because my husband uses the coffee table. That's all I'm going to say about that. It was an accident. Mark felt so bad that this happened literally hours after I finished it. It happens. It happens. Okay. My last finish, my last piece of cross stitch to share with you. This is a pattern by Dulaney Woods Treasures. It's called Bewitching. Now, I think when I started this, I told you that I was using this bag just to keep my floss in. Corina from bagzplus sent me she said it was a one-of-a-kind, almost a floss buddy. So this is really, really cute. It's got this cat pattern. It's got the vinyl pocket on the front. When you open up the inside, half of it has pockets. The other half is a felt mat that I can put my extra floss on. So I like this. I like this a lot because it's got the pockets there. It's got the pocket there. It's got magical cats all over it. And it's blue. She hit all the check marks. So thank you so much, Corina, for this. I ended up using it for my floss for that. And this is my finish on Bewitching. Okay, now I'm going to hold this up here for a while because do you see my two great big errors that I made on this? They're there. I started this last month. I actually started this last month up at Anna's house. And the first thing I did was I made a mistake in that great big B. But I decided that I was going to adapt it. And that would have been fine until I made the second mistake. So if you look over here, if you look up and you look at the legs on the H, one is 1 stitch shorter. And then I used that to measure out all the other stitches. So the first half of the word lines up just fine. When I get to the H, it goes up 1 stitch, which means when I came down to work on the cauldron here, my cauldron didn't fit according to the pattern. So I adapted it. And I'm leaving these mistakes in there because in all reality, if I look at it, I don't see it. I know they're there, but the whole point is sometimes you can get away with leaving the mistakes in there. And my plan for this one is that I want to finish it into a drum, which will make it even more difficult to notice that there's any mistakes in there. We have to stop being so hard on ourselves. I notice that sometimes when I watch Flosstube that people get really frustrated that they've made mistakes and they just kind of fixate on it. I get that. We're all our own worst enemy when it comes to doing anything. But at the same time, aren't we supposed to be enjoying what we're doing? Stitching because we like to stitch? Yes, there's mistakes in that. I think this past year I've made more mistakes and more pieces, and I've left them in there because it happens. If you think about the original samplers that everybody likes to stitch, those girls didn't have a pattern, and things don't line up. I was watching somebody just the other day that had a piece that they were reproducing, and the person wasn't able to get one letter within the border, so they put it right outside the border. Did it change the beauty of the sampler? No. It shows that we're just people and mistakes happen. So unless it totally affects the pattern, I'm not worrying about it anymore. I'm not worrying about it anymore. Okay, so I want to talk about Floss Drops. I want to say thank you to mommalovesyouGB for starting this whole thing, because I now have quite the collection of Floss Drops. And this is only part of them. I got these lovelies from the Silver Stitcher. The next in my cards came from Lori, Textilist. And I know I'm not going to be able to get everybody's name right because, you know, it's just the way my brain works. The next came from Dreaming of the Northwoods, Jennifer. Sampler Bee sent me these from a stitch sampler. The next ones Joe NC on Instagram. Flosstube is my Saturday morning cartoons. These beauties from the Raspberry Stitcher. Felicia X Stitch. We have a lovely little ballerina. For the life of me, I do not remember who sent me these next ones, and I apologize for that. There's this design and this design. I've seen them several times on Instagram, and I could have gone and looked and written it down, and I didn't. And then there's the Maisie nose. In the middle, I have square ones from Stacy, the 911 Stitcher, with wooden shoes and a crocheted afghan. Then I have Gabrielle stitches. Love this one. I love them all, actually. Alright. From Thread Needle Quilting, Wendy. I have another one showing parts of a sampler. I like that. The ones that share something that they've stitched. Okay, this one is from Edwina. And we have Witchy Washy. And then this one is a Mill Hill kit that she personalized, making it into Edwina's Needleworks, a little shop. Alright. The next one again has no name on the back of it, but it's got some more stitching on there. Beautiful. Karen sent me this lovely little lady in blue. Tiny house stitcher. I got another little doggy. And then these last ones are double-sided. There's that little girl and that little girl. So those are all the ones that I have on my floss rings. I've been receiving more and more, and I've been loving every single one of them. I've gotten 3 Christmas cards so far because of it. This one is from Nanette, and I think these are a riot. It's got a little goat on it. I came, I saw, I forgot what I was doing, retraced my steps and got distracted on my way back. I have no idea what's going on, and now I have to pee. Mark has been bringing the mail in. He's done this for years. He gets home, he pulls up to the mailbox, he gets the mail. And every day he's been coming in and goes, "You got more mail. You've got more mail. How come you get mail all the time?" Because I send things out all the time. Stacy B. These are beautiful. Again, some stitched pieces, some black work. There's bees on theirs. There's bee skeps. Absolutely gorgeous. Thank you so much. Nicia sent hers to me, and it came in a lovely little bag, which is going to go upstairs in my journals. All the different fabrics. Beautiful. And what a nice little way to store them. Ramona. She told me that she stitched the sampler because a few years ago about my father and his family home in upstate New York. Absolutely gorgeous. And the last for me to share today, certainly not the least, came from Andrea, who is Fillin69 on Instagram, and it's raccoons. She also sent me a little floss bling to go on the ring. Okay, if you've been around for a while, you know I have issues with raccoons partying on my roof in the middle of the night. So I make references to raccoons every once in a while because they party on my roof in the middle of the night. I shared this story in a Zoom meetup. So Becca, I'm finally telling the story. Raccoons are noisy. They get up on our roof and it literally sounds like there's a herd of elephants racing across the house. I can be sitting down here in the living room and I can hear them. So we decided that there had to be some way to get rid of them. And we came up with the idea of using my son's paintball pistol. So I went and I bought a case of paintball pellets. Paintball pellets are paint and soap. That's all they are. If I miss a raccoon and I hit somebody's car, they're going to have a paintball splotch, which is going to wash off the next time it rains or they pour water over it. But it won't damage the car. And being in city limits, that's a good thing to do. Take care of your neighbors. Explain to them why they have green paintball pellets on their car. We haven't had to do that. But anyway, we shoot the raccoons in the middle of the night with the paintball pellets because it makes them leave the roof. If you've ever gone paintballing and you've been hit by one of them, they leave a bruise and a welt like you wouldn't believe. Mark got one night it was on the side of the deck upstairs, and it actually fell, and then it ran off. It doesn't hurt them. It stings. It discourages them. But I was sharing this story on our Zoom meetup, and I can't remember who it was who said how much fun it would be to spend the night at our house and help us shoot the raccoons in the middle of the night. And I said, well, no, that might not be a good idea, because you see, Mark and I don't wear anything when we go to bed at night. So when we're outside and we're on the deck and we're shooting the paintballs at the raccoons, we don't have anything on. So my secret is out. Naked paintballing, shooting the raccoons. I don't want to hurt them. I just don't want them to party at the Wallsters. There you go. I have one last card I want to share with you. I got this one from Judy. I'm sure this is because of Not My Cat McGonagall. This is really, really cute. And Judy sent me some hand-dyed silk from Bestitch Me to say thank you for me sending out a bookmark to her last month. This is the floss that she sent. This is absolutely beautiful. And it's called Vampire's Kiss, red and black. I will be using this. I think it's gorgeous. Judy, you didn't have to send me anything. I've had so much fun sending out the bookmarkers. It was part of me just celebrating a year. And I have names to finish out the rest of my 62nd year of bookmarkers. I've got December's made up and ready to go as soon as it rolls around to December. And I have a request. Tony, you know who you are. I have your name on my list to get you to send out a bookmark to you. I do not have your address. I had left a message on one of your messages previously asking you to send me your address. I'm going to link my email address down below and my Instagram. Please send me your email so that I can get one sent out to you also. Okay, I think that's everything that I have to share. Camera cut off. I don't know where I cut off exactly. I was just about to wrap this all up. I don't know when my next video is going to be. 2 days from now is Thanksgiving, and then we start going into the Christmas holidays. And yes, I am working a regular schedule now at my new store. But we're going into the holidays, and I'm just not going to add extra stress to myself right now. I know that a while back, Dawn, Frosty X Stitch, had asked me to do another video about my Christmas tree with all my fruit and vegetable ornaments. And I thought that I would put up a short video showing all my fruit and vegetable ornaments when I start decorating to address that. So there will be at least another small Christmassy video that I will be doing here soon. My plan at this point is I want to continue monogamous stitching, and I think what I'm going to do, because we are going into the holiday seasons, is I'm going to go back to working on my Alphonse Mucha. I've already taken all my cross stitch that I had down here in the living room, put it away upstairs. My Alphonse Mucha sits on my little footstool next to me, and I can work on it on my chair, and I haven't given her any love for a couple of months. So I think she's going to be my focus for at least the remainder of this year. So I don't know if that will be interesting for anybody to see. Who knows? Anyway, I hope that everybody gets to celebrate Thanksgiving, or Feast of Bird, as I call it. I hope that they are with friends, with family, with people that you love, and care about. And I hope you all have a wonderful holiday season. Live long and stitch on, my friends. We'll see you again sometime in the future. Bye-bye.